So, welcome. This is Brooke Klontz and Carly Dalton, and today we have with us Andy Slinger. He is the Amazon bestselling author of The Super Twins and The Super Twins 2. And our goal is to equip writers with the tools necessary to get published and be successful. And we really think that Andy will have a lot to say about both writing and marketing. And you'll see our marketing topic in our next video. So today we're going to talk about writing. And one question that I really wanted to ask you, Andy, is how did you do such an awesome job writing for a middle grade audience? And what things did you keep in mind to ensure that it's something middle grade readers would like and be excited about? And how did that shape your book?
I think with me, I didn't have a clue when I first started writing it, but I had two little experts. My boys were sort of middle grade readers at the time that I did it. So I managed to use them as like, I don't know, my guinea pigs, I'd say. So I put everything past them, which was really helpful. And I thought I'd done a decent job of it until it came to the editing. Now, my editor helped me an awful lot. It's okay, writing for what you think is a middle grade audience, but I think to get the right language and get in the mind of a child and realize what they actually comprehend and what they can really understand is different, really. And I had to tone down quite a lot of it. I think what I'd actually written was more geared to sort of like 12 to 14-year-olds. So I had to kind of dumb down my language somewhat. But it sort of comes together. And the best way to sort of find out is just to get kids of that age to read it. The more kids you can get to do it, like with any sort of age range, you get your ARC readers for all different genres. So get some kids to read your book, and then they sort of weed out all the problems. And the great thing is with kids, they say exactly what they think. So if they don't like it or they don't understand it, you're going to know about it. So I think that helped me an awful lot.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Did you get some really good questions from your beta readers that were kids?
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, they look at things complete different way to what I did. I thought I could get inside the mind of a child when I started writing. I soon realised it wasn't an easy task.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah. So you do a really good job, like as far as like what you're talking about with writing for a younger audience is like the words, your vocabulary that you use. I'm sure that plays a lot into it. And you write with like a humorous style, but you also talk about hard hitting topics. So can you kind of talk about those like hard topics that you tackled and like what you were hoping to inspire from them?
Yeah, I mean, through my books, I kind of try and see the world through a child's eyes. Now, you don't really have as many families that are mum, dad, kids, and stereotypical families. So with my book, I wanted to show that it's okay for families not to be just like that, to be brought up by a dad or brought up by a mum by themselves, or two mums or two dads. I wanted to show that the world isn't as simple as that, and it doesn't matter how you are, who you are, or how you're brought up, that you can make something with your life. And I wanted to show kids that the opportunities are endless, really. And I think that's kind of the underlying thing in my book. And also sort of poverty. There's problems in England with food banks where people aren't able to eat as they should do. And I wanted to show kids that they can get past that, and it is normal. Poverty does exist, and not to define who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. So I tried to sort of cover those topics at the same time as making a funny book for the kids.
You did a really good job at that.
Okay. Is that something that was just close to your heart?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a single parent myself, so I think with my children, I always wanted them to grow up with a mum, dad, and that normal sort of family. So I wanted to show them that you can still have a good life no matter how you're brought up, and that it is normal in today's society to live like that, and there's so many kids that have that, and that's cool. It doesn't make you any better or any worse than anyone else. So yeah, mm-hmm. It was really important to me.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen a lot of impact in the community from your book?
I've had a lot of people sort of message me, a lot of parents message me that the book wasn't what they expected, because it goes in quite hard for a children's book. I think it was like the death of the kid's mother is pretty much the opening of the book. So I think there's not so many authors that would dare to do that. There's not so many authors that would throw that in there for a children's book. But I think that, you know, the way that I do it sensitively, and I think that, you know, it sort of inspired a lot of people. I've had a lot of parents, you know, message me and email me about it, and I've had a lot of parents that send reviews from the kids, and that's the best thing, really. When it's had an impact on the kids, it's you know, it's fantastic for me. That makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
For sure. And, you know, I think it's really interesting because I've heard, I don't write middle grade myself, but I've heard that middle grade, if you look at some of the really popular middle grade books, a lot of them have really, really sad undertones.
Yeah.
And I've been told that that writing middle grade oftentimes, like for some reason, children really like those sad undertones, and that makes them more compelled to read the book or to finish it and to be attached to the characters. Would you find that to be true?
Yeah, I think, you know, middle grade can stretch anywhere from sort of 7 to 12 years old. So I think, you know, ultimately that's when a child's going through a massive part of the development. You know, just before they come into teens, it's like a lot of things are going through the mind, and they're really growing up. I know that my boys, when they went from those ages, they went from sweet little innocent kids to all of a sudden they got a bit of an attitude on them, and they're questioning things, you know. So I think their eyes are starting to open to the world, and it's really important to have those kind of themes in the books, because, you know, that's what they're thinking about at that particular point in their life. They're questioning the meaning of life and all those kind of, you know, really important questions. So I think it's a perfect time to start posing them to them and you know, making them think.
Yeah, some of the examples I'm thinking of are like the series of unfortunate events. That's a series that I've loved as a kid. And you think about it, the very start of the book, they lose both their parents, and then they're handed off to Count Olaf, who doesn't care about them at all. And they're like almost like Rapunzel kept up in the top of the tower. Have you read that series?
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely brilliant. I love the TV series as well. There's like loads of film of it as well. Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But you're right. There's so many people and so many books that are written like that for that kind of age group. You know, you've got like Harry Potter living under the stairs. It's all sort of, you know, harsh undertone.
Yeah.
And movie ever made.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Yeah,
Like The Bridge to Terabithia. Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. They're middle of World War II. They're shipped off from their home to some random uncle they don't even know, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. It seems to be a pretty common theme with middle grade.
Yeah, it seems that way. I think I must have hit the nail on the head there.
So Andy, I don't know if you'll be able to, if you can kind of tell us what inspired you to write the twist behind the dad without giving away any spoilers, but I don't know if that'll be possible. But we'd love to know what inspired you to write the dad character the way you did and to put the twist behind it.
Okay, I think that with any character, you've got sort of two sides to the person, the good and the bad. And I think the way you write any character, I think villains always have to have some good inside them, and equally, you know, your main characters have got to have a bit of darkness inside them. So I think that with the dad, without, you know, giving it away, I think I wanted to show that there is two sides to you know, mums and dads as well as to children, and that this is really difficult without giving it away. I think that as a father, you mean well, and it might not come out in the right way. It might be perceived in a different way to what it actually is. So I think that the way I've done it is I'm leading people's mind one way, but yet the character's going a different way. And that's the only way I can really describe it. That might sound like absolute gobbledygook to you, but, you know, that's the only way I can really say it.
For sure. I think that's true in a lot of cases. I'm thinking of like Disney movies like Moana and Little Mermaid. I was watching Little Mermaid 2 with my son yesterday because I bought my niece some Little Mermaid Barbie dolls. And he was like, I don't know what a mermaid is. So we watched Little Mermaid 2 so we understood what mermaids were. And And I thought I was really interesting, like watching, because in the first Little Mermaid, right, Triton is trying to keep Little Mermaid from going up to the surface because he knows that that's dangerous for her. And then at the end, she kind of understands why, but she was still like, I mean, she still ends up with Eric, right? But then in the Little Mermaid 2, Ariel does the same thing that Triton did, essentially, where she's trying to keep her daughter from going back to the sea. And I thought that was really interesting, like as a parent myself with my son, thinking about all the things that you can do and with the right intentions, but still like limit your child. It's a really easy thing to do.
Yeah, and that's the crux of it, really, isn't it? It's you mean the best for your children, and trying to direct them in the right way to make them the people that you kind of want them to be. But at the same time, it might not come out that way. It might be perceived in a complete different way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as being a parent is a learning process too. You make mistakes.
No, I said there's no book, is there? There's no no guidelines on how to be a parent. You just sort of make it up as you go along and hope for the best.
You totally do. You totally do. So for one other thing that you did really well is writing humor, and I would really love to hear what tips you have for that, because that is actually something that I struggle with as a writer myself.
Me too.
What tips would you have for writing humor for writers that struggle with that?
I think for me, I always tend to look back at the classics. I look at, as an English person, I look back at sort of old comedy. I look back at like things like Fawlty Towers and original British comedy that kind of it's very much a certain style. And I don't know. I think it comes from that, but at the same time, I think humor is different for everyone. And you can't make humor that's going to appeal to everyone. You really can't. You've got to try and keep your audience in mind as much as possible, but at the same time realize that it's not going to be funny to everyone. You could show 10 people the same bit of humor, maybe one or two might laugh, but yeah, it's still really funny. You just got to keep your audience in mind as much as possible. I mean, for me, doing the middle grade, it's got to be a bit more silly than adult humor, a bit more obvious, but at the same time, I don't want to go down the toilet humor sort of route. I mean, all kids love a bit of that. Don't get me wrong, but overdo it, and to me, it loses its humor. Yeah. So, it's kind of it's hard. It is hard, but I think it's a process of writing and rewriting, seeing what you find funny, and thinking about your audience at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So do you consciously think about it as you're writing, like what things can I do to make this funny, or does it just naturally come out?
I just sit there giggling to myself while I'm writing. I find it hilarious myself, and then I read back and think, no, that's really not funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
I feel like that's the problem I have. I write things and I send them to my beta readers, and they're like, I'm not really sure what you were trying to say here. And I'm like, dang it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's supposed to be funny.
So Andy, for our last question, will you first tell us what inspired you to write the Super Twins? And then can you tell us what keeps you motivated to keep writing on those days that you feel like giving up, or the days that you don't want to?
Yeah, I mean, initially it was my kids that inspired me. I wanted to show them that you can do anything in life, and that if you put your mind to something, you can achieve it. So, I started writing before COVID hit, and it was just kind of a bit of something to do for me. In the morning, I get up and I do a bit of writing, and it just gradually started forming. And as soon as COVID hit and we all went into lockdown, I sort of hammered down on it and said, right, I'm going to finish this and get it out there as soon as I can. So, my kids were there in the house while I was doing it, and they were watching me every step of the way. So that kind of motivated me to do it. And, they took a real interest in what I was doing. I was showing them bits and bobs of it all the time. And they really got on board with it, and seeing their faces and finding how motivated they were getting from seeing me doing it, it just inspired me to go on. And in terms of writing now, I think I've just made it a habit. I get up in the morning, and whether I'm writing I'm writing a story, or I'm writing an article, or I'm writing something from a website, or for an Instagram post. It's a habit that I get up in the morning, and I get up like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It's ridiculous, really. It seems to get earlier and earlier. But I get up, and that is my daily routine. I wake up, I meditate, and I start writing. So I don't have to motivate myself, because it is a habit, and it's a natural instinct to do it when I get up. I mean, if I really feel like I don't want to write, and I've got a, I can't motivate myself to do it, then I clearly just need a day off. And there's many times I've just said, right, okay, just have a couple of days off. You're probably overdoing it, and that's done the trick, and I've got back to it. But I love it. I love doing it. I love writing. I love doing my marketing. It's a perfect start to my day. So I don't really struggle too much with the motivation. I enjoy what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Good advice.
That's very good advice. If you could leave our audience with one gold nugget to take away, what would you say?
One thing I would say, just enjoy it, and just get words down on the page. Don't criticize yourself too much. Don't think about what you're doing. Just write. It's simple advice, but it's the best advice I can give. It's just write, and just keep writing. Just scribble it down. Yeah. It can always get edited later. There's going to be some bits, a lot of rubbish that you might write, but equally there might be some real amazing stuff there. So just write it down, scribble it down, and that's it.
I think it's fantastic advice. Somebody gave that advice to me. It's like, just get it down on the paper. If you constantly are going back and rereading what you wrote, you're never going to finish the book. Just get it down and edit.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much, Andy, for joining us. And be sure to check out the Super Twins and the Super Twins 2. They are available on Andy's website at andyslinger.com or on Amazon. And then be sure to join us back next Wednesday when we have Andy talk about marketing. If you found this video valuable, please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you'll be notified when our next video is up. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.